Hey everybody, it's Ali Edwards, and I am back in my Project Life album for 2024 with the first of two videos that I will have for you this week if you are watching this in real time. I've been away on a little vacation and had some other stuff going on, and I'm super excited to be back here. So the first one that I am sharing today, this is week 7. I will also be sharing week 8 later this week. Week 7 is the first half of our vacation, and week 8 includes some of the second half of our vacation. So there's a little bit of home stuff in each week and then a little bit of vacation. So here you can see what I am doing. First of all, here is cutting out 2 half circles. These are 2 halves of essentially a 12 by, I think it was a 12 by 12 circle, or it's a 12-inch tall circle, is essentially what it is. And I used that in Photoshop, and I was able to mask 2 photos inside. So here's one of the photos, which is of the sky and the beach. And then the other photo I did was one of my feet, so looking down at the water. And then in Procreate on my iPad, I went ahead and hand wrote some of my memories from the trip. And these are actually memories that I had written down while we were on the trip. They're almost like story sparks in a way. They're sparks of longer stories that I am not necessarily going to tell the full story of them, but I love them as little reminders, right? Little reminders of this adventure, this time. I don't always have a ton to write about this particular trip. We go to Mexico to see Dave Matthews. We've done it for a number of years now, and it is one of our favorite getaways, and we're super Dave Matthews fans. And when we go to do nothing, right? So there's not a lot of adventuring. There's not a lot of additional stories beyond let's go sit by the pool, let's go in the ocean, let's go listen to the concert, let's have a drink, let's read some books. And it's a good spot. So I loved being able to add my handwriting directly onto that photo. I knew that I wanted to have some sort of an insert this time. On this kind of trip, I don't always take a lot of photos either, just because, like I just said, it's a lot of just relaxation and vacation and rest, and it's the best for me. So I took enough photos to have some representation or memories from the trip itself, and I'm happy to have them added into this project. All right, so I went through my stash and grabbed a tab sticker. I think it says stories or the stories maybe. And I'm adding it in between those 2 half circles that you saw me adhere using rolling adhesive. And then I used my We Are Memory Keepers hole punch to punch the holes in the half circle itself to be able to add it as an insert. During this video itself, you'll see a couple of previews of week 8. I worked on both of them at the same time, but then just decided to do 2 separate videos so we could focus on each week at a time. So you might have seen I have a sticker. It's a Dave Matthews sticker, a Dancing Dave sticker. And my original thought was that I would use a sheet of graphics plastic, which I just trimmed on the trimmer, and now I'm using the We Are Memory Keepers hole punch to punch holes in that plastic so that I could add in another insert with the Dave sticker on top. We're going to come back to that in a minute. I had to interrupt myself to add a sticker that's from Brandy Kincaid on there that says "You made it here," because that's what I loved that part. All right, so that's a graphics plastic sheet that's essentially becomes a transparency. There's my Dancing Dave sticker. Initially, I was thinking that I would stick Dave down on there, and then I would potentially use some of the heart-shaped speech bubbles from the February Stories by the Month kit around him as a way to capture a few more stories and to just be playful. And I love having clear backgrounds and being able to see through to the other side of things. And so this is originally what I was thinking I was going to do, and played around with a couple of variations here before I end up deciding to pivot and instead take that plastic sheet and cut it down to the size of the half circle and just have Dave be on top of the half circle as one other additional insert page. And you'll see that in a minute here. But before I got to that point, I was still kind of going along with this, and I ended up pulling out a label sticker, a circle label sticker. and started to write down a little bit of a title on there. It says Dave and Tim Cancun. Used a Posca paint pen again as a little pop of color for the plus sign in between those two. But then after I looked at it, I was like, oh, is that really what I want? And then I decided to add on some foam adhesive that would stick it up a little bit. Still thinking at this point in the process that I'm probably going to go forward with this and have the speech bubbles on top of here. But like I already said, I don't, which is fine because that's part of the evolution. And that's part of why I keep this kind of thing in when I'm doing these videos as well. So you can see how I change my mind or how I make different decisions along the way, even if I might have gone down one path initially. Just kind of depends on the day and the time and how I'm feeling. And this would have been a really fun solution, which is one of the reasons why I kept it in here, because I thought somebody might see it and decide that that would be a fun way for you to do something. Maybe you have a picture of a person in your family or a die cut picture of a person and you want to use the speech bubbles all around them. I feel like that would be a really fun way to capture yourself, capture a child, capture someone else. So not a solution that I ended up wanting to use for this, but maybe a solution for a project that you are working on now or in the future. All right, so I'm going ahead. This is where I decided to take that graphics plastic sheet. I'd already adhered Dave down onto it. So now I just trimmed it down along the edge, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut that plastic sheet so that it could be in the same shape. I am cutting around the tab sticker that I already added on there. You're going to see me come down from the bottom here, and then I'll just match the top and the bottom together with my scissors. I'll move it off of there. The Dave sticker is something that I have some Dave stickers here from one of our Dave resources, and this was a fun one to be able to add in there. If you saw the album that I did last year for one of our travel workshops, I actually did an album of all of our Dave Matthews trips up until this point, and that album is completely full. So I'm not sure if I'm going to start another one for that yet, or if I will just begin flowing some of these stories into things like this, or maybe I'll wait a few years and then go back in and do a bunch of them like I did this year. That was in our Stories of Travel workshop that was available last year. It's still available. You can go check it out if you're looking for some sort of a plan or method for compiling a bunch of trips together into one album. That might be helpful for you. All right, so I took that Dave and Tim Cancun, the label sticker, and I decided to add it onto one of the cards from the Savor story kit. And once I did that, I decided to go all in on the label stickers and use those over the course of this particular weekly spread. And so you're going to see me adding circle label stickers to almost, I think, all of my photos here in a couple minutes. But I did also add 2 of them just onto this little title card, or little card. I thought was a fun way to use a patterned card, adding the labels directly on top. I also then grabbed my stash of journal cards and picked one that made sense for this particular week. I wanted to have one card that referenced the 2 other photos from before we left on the vacation. And so I just picked one. I'm not sure what kit this is from or what project it's from in the past. I just have all of my journal cards that have space for journaling. That's how I store them all together in one space. So on here, I'm just writing a little bit about getting ready for the trip and the things that were happening. And Anna had a private volleyball lesson and some things like that. So that's what I'm documenting on this particular card right now. Let's see, what else do I have to say about this? Really loving the process of getting back into this again, continuing to make it work for me in a sustainable way this year, which is what I hope for all of you, as well as to find a way that this can be an enjoyable adventure for you and not something that causes stress or anxiety or any of those things. We get enough of that, right? There's enough other places that we can find that. Let's not have that as a part of this experience. All right, so now I'm going through my label sticker stash and pulling out the ones that are just circles. I kind of wanted to see how many did I have that were the colors that I was using previously, which is like a light green and a light blue and a light yellow. Again, I'm not sure exactly which old kit or project those were from. I'll see what we have in terms of things that are still available, and we'll add those to the supply list. But what I'm going to do next is actually take each one of my photos and add one of these label sticker circles onto the photos, and then add a little bit of context journaling for the picture itself. So context journaling for me usually means maybe a fact, like one little fact or one feeling, something about the picture itself, something that gives it an additional, let's see, what am I trying to say? Something that gives it context within the story itself, right? You can see, yes, we went to Mexico. Here's all these Mexico photos. So why did I feel like this particular photo was worth including in the overall story? That's kind of the question that I'm answering when I am adding some words onto these photos or onto the circle label stickers. So one of them was, that was the view from our room this year. We have stayed in a variety of different rooms at this resort now because we've been there a number of times. And so it's fun to have had the experience of staying in different places. So that's one of the things that I like to document, because we always are talking about where our room was the year before, what our view was, or what we liked and didn't like about it. This is a pocket heart and a chipboard piece from the Savor story kit. Lots of little pieces from that coming in here as I continue to work through those. That is the current story kit right now. If you are watching this in real time, Savor is our current story kit theme. Adding on another label sticker here. I'm using a couple different pens. I'm using a Slick Writer pen, and then I'm also using the Uniball Vision Elite pen, which is just one of my favorite regular overall pens in life. It's a life pen for me. Adding a little bit of context to that one. That's a picture that Aaron took of me floating back over to him after I went and got a drink in my floaty, and I'm coming back over. I thought this was a fun photo. This was reading my Kindle. I had on just a really bright, fun skirt and a bright, fun shirt that I had got for this adventure. I'm reading my Kindle. I've got all my bracelets on. They do a lot of like swag sharing, and people bring all of these bracelets and things like that they'd like to give away and share with other people. And so our wrists are often filled with those. And so that's a fun thing to capture within that photo itself. And I had two photos here of Aaron and I together, which I love. So one in the sunshine, and one we also did have one day where it rained, and just talking a little bit about that. It was awesome because it was right in the middle of the trip. So it was after we'd had enough sun, and having a break for a day from the sun was good for our bodies. And it was still fun to be outside because it was still sunny and warm, or not sunny. It was still really warm, and we were still getting to experience live music, which is what we love. So adding one more onto the other one here. As always, you'll be able to see the full image of this spread, or images of this spread, on my blog post. You can find the link to the blog post, if you are not there already, in the description on YouTube. And I will be back very soon, probably in the next couple days, with week 8 in my Project Life album for 2020.